Welcome to the Squared Circle Pit with your host, Rob Pasbani.
Now entering the Square Circle Pit, you may know him from the popular wrestling meme page Wrestling Sucks, wrestling.sucks. We got Steve from Wrestling Sucks here entering the pit. Welcome, sir.
Rob, hello. Pleasure to enter the pit. Thanks for the invite. Must have been a slow week if I was the best get, so we're going to make the best of it.
This is going to be the biggest episode of Square Circle Pit in history, thanks to your participation.
Hey, it could go viral. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things happen nowadays. Throw some stuff on a reel. You never know. It's going to end up on the other side of the world.
Exactly. And I love the Bad Luck 13 shirt. I actually had Schlack on a few weeks ago. And some, I guess he's not in Bad Luck 13, but he's in Eat the Turnbuckle with the singer of Bad Luck 13. And it's great to hear that band's name come up again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, growing up in like the hardcore scene in like Queens, I saw Bad Luck 13 at Red Zone in 2003. Are you from New York?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York, baby.
Did you ever go to like Castle Heights or Red Zone in your younger years? L'Amour's,
no,
anything like that?
L'Amour's, yes, of course. Okay. L'Amour, I lived very close to L'Amour, so.
Yeah, you're like a South Brooklyn kind of
South Brooklyn guy, yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Queens, and I was in like the hardcore scene, and caught wind of Bad Luck really early, and there was like a December show. I don't know the year, but it was like probably 2003 or something. And just completely demolished the whole place. I knew something was going to be weird when they were like, hey, if you want to buy merch, buy it before we play, because as soon as we're done, we're leaving. And then proceeded to break all the mirrors into place and didn't lock the doors and didn't let any dogs loose, which is, common folklore, but it was crazy enough. Some bruises and such. So yes,
it was
Schlack's the man.
Yeah, pretty wild. The one time I saw them, I mentioned it on the episode with Schlack. It was at Rexplex at Hellfest.
Oh, I was there.
Oh, you were there. So okay, great. So another person to prove to me and my psyche that this event existed, because I was so traumatized by it that for the longest time I was like, I'm probably exaggerating. It wasn't that bad. And then I found the video of it. Yeah. And I've recently learned that the most traumatic moment was when the people were coming for the bleachers that I was on, and I realized I got to get the fuck off these bleachers because they're going to knock them over. And Schlack told me, in fact, that he was one of those people.
So I pride myself on some Bad Luck lore and some Schlack lore. And when he mentioned that he was the one flipping the bleachers, I was like, I never knew that. But I definitely was there I definitely saw the pig's head fly. I saw fire extinguishers go off. I saw all the security guards going crazy. I think at that point I was smartened up enough that I knew to stand very, very, very far back.
Oh, absolutely. Like, that's the thing for me as well. And as I'm sure for you going to hardcore shows, never be up front. You're asking for it being up front, especially in New York. Like, these fucking savages in the pit with their crowd killing. Like, I want none of that, especially go to CB's matinees. Like, no, thank you.
No, I want the crowd killing. I
don't want to be punched in the face. I mean, like, crowd killing is the line for me, I think. Like, I think there should be a level of consent to pitting. And like, if you go in the pit, you might get punched in the face. But if you're, one or two layers behind the pit, you shouldn't have to worry that someone's going to Superman punch you.
Back in my day, we called that the Boston Punch. Boston Punch is when you would like reach over. I think if you're the first layer, if you're like the first layer of the hardcore 7-layer dip, your game. Anyone behind that, you maybe it kind of sucks, but I don't know. You should be smartened up. And hopefully
you should still be on alert. Absolutely. But I'm just saying, it's like, you want to enjoy the show too. I've just seen too many unsuspecting girls get punched in the face. And it's not, I don't mean to laugh because it's terrible, but like, just because it's like so surprising, like they don't deserve that.
I don't mean to laugh as we both just laughed.
As we both giggle. No, it's awful.
Did you catch from a second story window that they had the trampolines on stage, and they had the trampolines going off, so that was cool. I saw them at CB's back in the day, I was flipping off the stage, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people do.
The little guy Derek was like flipping his fucking guitar and going crazy. Yeah, they were another one that was very influential to me enjoying all that chaotic, stupid stuff. So
nice. So, and you said you had a band as well?
Yeah. So actually, for that weekend of Hellfest, the band I hadn't joined was called Endwell, and Endwell ended up getting signed to Victory Records in '06, and I played bass on the Victory debut. And we toured for a few years doing that. I know you're familiar with my friend Frankie from Emmure. You guys have had your back and forth over the years. But yeah. I basically just grew up with him, and we were all just in Queens playing local shows until we got like the showcase, and then got signed. Flew out. To
Dustin. I just see that. I was like, why does Endwell sound so familiar?
Oh, so. Dustin
or was Dustin not in the band anymore?
Dustin there was multiple like renditions, multiple eras, and I was in the Homeland and Security era, and then the band kind of broke up a little bit, and then they kept going, and then it was Dustin and Maddie jumped in with someone else playing drums or something.
I see. I see. Okay.
But yeah,
small world.
I had my time where we had the fucking. A few good tours and recorded in LA. The guy who recorded our record was Jay Baumgartner, who did Evanescence and Papa Roach. So that was kind of fun.
Did you learn anything from him, from his work with those artists?
No, we kept trying to tell him we wanted to sound like Killswitch, and he kept wanting us to be like a big rock band. So looking back on it 15 years later, the mix isn't really that good.
Actually, so you guys were right, or he was right?
Yeah, it's actually.
You were right.
Yeah, I mean, A Day to Remember ended up going to Zing Studios in Massachusetts, where we wanted to go, where Endwell had done like the EP, and their record came out way better. And look where they are now. And here I am in my bedroom talking to fucking to
notfest.com, baby.
Yeah, obviously I made out better on that deal. You know what I mean? It's great.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
So you grew up with Frankie. It's funny. I was just recently revisiting some of that stuff, and it's so silly. It's so like, it's very childish looking back now. Like it's been 10 years or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, like we just were all practicing and playing local shows in Queens and Long Island, maybe Jersey once in a while, and then Emmure did it right. They just kept touring forever and ever and ever, and things popped off for them. So kudos to him. We're still on good terms. I feel like he's a very polarizing figure, but I love me some Frankie.
Yeah, I have no, for the record, I have no ill will. I honestly don't even remember what the beef was about. I think maybe it was just because I was just writing about dumb shit he was doing, or I guess like they put out some merch that I thought was stupid, something like that. It's so long ago now. Who can remember? I'm sure. I bet he remembers. probably
about when he got electrocuted in Russia. I feel like that got a lot of clicks back in the day.
yes, but to be fair, I remember he was the one who broke the story that he got electrocuted. And I think he even tagged Metal Injection to be like, hey, here's your hot next story. I got electrocuted. I did make it. I did make an animated GIF of it.
Finger on the pulse. And hey, luckily he still had a pulse, because you never know what those the grounding over in Russia.
Yeah, like I guess because I knew that he was alive and made it out, I felt like it was okay to have a bit of a laugh about it. But
that was his own personal death match. Hey.
No, bringing it back to the squared circle pit, and you checked out Metal Injection, right? You're familiar with the work.
I was a big fan. I think I mentioned this to you when I saw you at the Brooklyn show, that once a year I always go back to that Red Chord interview outside of Crazy Donkey, where they're just riffing and they're like, I live on a mansion under the water and I have gold wings and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, you're just like caught in the middle of like them just being crazy people.
They're the best.
I saw them when they did that reunion at Philly Beer Fest or something.
Oh, yeah. I went out to that. That was really fun. I could have watched them play like twice as long. I want them to do a headlining set.
Gunface doing both guitars, like both signals, just one guitar per layer, was like such a clinic and like masterful guitar playing. It was like insane to see him do the band to do one guitar and just pull it off. Was kudos.
Yeah. Especially, like how he would use the delay pedals and all that stuff. Yeah. Do little Reggie Watts techniques, but for death metal.
Oh, I love Reggie Watts. I always go back to that TED talk where he's like, Reggie Watts disorients you in the most interesting way. And he starts with like, he goes through all the different like accents and whatever, and then he does all the beatboxing. So huge Reggie Watts fan.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, it was fun. Like in the aughts, not only was there a budding metalcore scene, but I feel in New York specifically, there was such a great comedy scene of all these people that are huge stars now. Yeah, and you could see a Reggie Watts and John Mulaney and Todd Barry for like $5, all three of them. And now that would be like $80, So in a way, I'm a little spoiled with comedy shows. I don't like going to these big shows, especially.
Comedy shows are like the hardcore shows. Now used to go see stuff for $8, $10, and now everyone's like selling out arenas and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're all in their 40s and they're doing reunion tours because the cash has ran dry, and they're like, let's get the band back together.
Yeah, I mean, and also just because it's been so long and there's a whole new generation of fans now, but
yeah.
It costs them much more money to take off work and get on the road. They have more expenses. Everyone's getting older.
I feel like some bands have it right where they just like know to do like long weekends, and like it's not worth getting in the van for like 6 weeks at a time. So yeah, just back in the day, the weekend warrior phrase was kind of like an insult, but now it's like, no, I want to just play 3 shows and sleep in my bed.
Dude, fucking Metallica are weekend warriors. Their entire summer tour was every week, Friday and Sunday only, and then they went the fuck back home.
They're taking the Taylor Swift route. I feel like she was doing a bunch of shit that was just like, oh, I'm going to be in Philly for 3 days, and I'm going to fly to California for 3 days, and then I don't know why I brought up Taylor Swift, but weekend. Well,
warriors. I've noticed with these stadium tours. Yeah. Because there's so much money involved, I think they intentionally try to have the shows on the weekends so people can make a whole day of it.
There you go.
Because they're not $8 shows anymore. They're fucking $800 shows,
So you're saying you didn't see the Taylor Swift secret show at Vitus afterwards?
Yeah, I didn't get the text alert for the secret show from Taylor. Before we get into Halloween Havoc, I also want to mention you are involved with New Fear City. I had Casanova Valentine from New Fear City. I feel like I'm doing the rounds with all the deathmatch experts here, because that's the easiest crossover, obviously, here at the intersection of rock and pro wrestling at Squared Circle Pit. And you are the lead official, the senior referee of New Fear City. That's fair to say?
That's fair to say. I don't know how it happened, but I guess I have like the most easily accessible referee shirt. So there I am. I'm just the head official, and boy, a fun time it's been.
Yeah, I mean, look, I went to a New Fear City show and I feared for my life briefly, which was nice. It was nice to get lost in the moment of light tubes being flung in my direction, but I get to run away. Like whenever there was a light tube, it's like a crowd kill. I'm stepping 100 feet back. I am not getting caught up in that. You don't have that luxury, I don't think, right? Or how do you deal with it?
See, I was going to make the same connection that like the light tube is the crowd killing of deathmatch. It's like you have to be aware of your surroundings because it's no fun in games. Those things can just break and kind of get in your eye and stuff. And I made the mistake about a year or two ago of wearing like a pair of jean shorts as I refereed because it was like summertime. Oh, no. And the cast and everybody started making fun of the short shorts, and they just kept putting them over on commentary. So now I'm like obligated to wear these fucking dumb short shorts every single time I referee. So I leave the shows with like bloody knees, and I sometimes, I'm fucking wasted and I forget to shower before I go to work, and I show up to work and my knees are all cut up and bloody, and I'm like, oh, that's fine. Don't worry. I'm fine. No big deal. But yeah, I mean, I guess the gimmick is Steve Short Shorts. So I referee I've done them for like 5 years. I used to do it when I was part of Boulevard Bullies, and I'm still around now.
This is your future here. Take that, Frankie Palmieri. You're on stage. You're
you're getting royalties and hopefully checks, and I'm getting a drink ticket and bloody knees at the end of my Friday evening. That's great. It's great. It's amazing. I do enjoy that the New Fear City shows are different than like a regular indie show where like you get that nightlife crowd, you get that Brooklyn crowd that's kind of heard about stuff. And then there are a lot of like normies that show up and don't really know what's going on. And it doesn't really like ramp up until the last match. Like the first few matches are like, there's a comedy match. I think the first match of the show you were at had like they had the little freaking
the conga line.
Yeah, conga line and stuff. And then usually there's like a cruiserweight kind of like hard hitting like exhibition kind of thing. And then when Cass goes up, he just self-proclaimed, like blood pig. Like I'm not making fun of him. He's like my best friend in the world, but he definitely knows how to ramp it up and get some color, brother.
Yeah, no, I think that honestly, that was the most impressive thing of how the show escalated as it went on. I just expected like, 2 hours of nonstop violence, like an orgy of violence, let's say, to the point where I would have gotten, like it would have devalued the violence because I was seeing so much of it. But I like that all the really crazy stuff was saved for the last match to the point where I was hungry for it. I was like, give me some blood.
I was just hungry because I probably forgot to eat dinner that night. I'm just eating PBRs for dinner. No, but it's good because, honestly, like storytelling in deathmatch and wrestling, indies, whatever, is kind of like a hot topic. And I guess it's lost on a lot of people because there's always like dream match, or whatever. And how many dream matches can you have? Like, or you just do like deathmatch for the sake of deathmatch where it's just like smashing tubes and there's no psychology or storytelling. Like, I think we have a good gauge on the show and the cadence of the show and the story we tell. So yeah, I mean, if we're just smashing light tubes for like 4 hours from 8 to 2, like that's not fun. Or 8 to 12, whatever.
Yeah. And it works. So I think, the show started at 10. That was the thing. I do want to mention it starts late. I'm an old fogey.
Listen, it starts late for me too. Like doors at 10 and like we don't start going till 11:30 and we're done till 3 a.m. And I'm like, bro, like, sorry, I got the shoot job, brother. Like I got to be up in a few hours and I'm like covered in beer and broken glass. So gotta love it. Gotta love the, the death match in Brooklyn. Sneaking by the State Athletic Commission. I think Cass probably realized or told you that like, because there's no ring, it's, we can just say performance art and people just leave us alone. So it's your one-stop shop for deathmatch in New York because you can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah. It's a fun way to spend a weekend evening. I will say that's for sure.
We should tell our friend Taylor to come out to the next one.
Yeah, come out, Tate. After the stadium show, come out to the New Fear City show. I think she'll come.
Wilder things have happened, man.
Well, let's talk about Halloween Havoc. It's Halloween season, spooky season, as the kids say.
Spooky season.
And I figured what better way to celebrate than by culling out a few matches from my favorite pay-per-view, Halloween Havoc. Favorite meaning like this is the coolest name for a wrestling event. Mm-hmm. Cooler than WrestleMania, I will say. Just it sounds so cool. Also, just because I feel like Halloween is my favorite holiday. It's way cooler than Christmas. It's like goth Christmas. Way better than Thanksgiving. You don't got to see any relatives. And I just have a very fond nostalgia for it. I think I realized what it was. I just got cable and like my first pay-per-view that I watched in my own bedroom with a hot box was Halloween Havoc 96. All right. So I think that's why I have a special affinity for it. But we picked out some matches. Each of us picked out 3 matches to highlight or perhaps lowlight the event. And one thing I want to mention, I intentionally did not pick Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio mask versus title from Halloween Havoc 1997, just because it's like everyone agrees that's one of the greatest matches ever. We don't have to rehash this. It would be a waste of minutes.
I would agree. I actually made a little like footnote on one of my matches being like, you can't do Rey versus Eddie. It's like, duh, that's like your highlight reel forever. Like, there's other matches. Figure something else out. It's been talked about to oblivion. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and if you haven't seen the match, please go and check it out. But we're under the assumption when you're in the squared circle pit, you've already been there. So I figured maybe we go one for one. I could go one, and you can go one. I started, my first pick was from the very first Halloween Havoc, and it was the Thunderdome Cage of Doom with
very
Ric
frightening.
Flair.
Incredibly frightening. Incredibly frightening.
Ric Flair and Sting versus the Great Muta and the late great Terry Funk, who we just lost. And I picked this match for nostalgia. Also because, like, on paper, this sounds so sick. I almost kind of wish it wasn't in the cage. I think it would have been a better match as just a straight up tag match.
Yeah.
But still, it was really cool to see all the guy. Gary Hart was on the ringside and Ole Anderson. And honestly, it was just cool to see how low rent NWA was in 1989 compared to WWF at the time. Because they just fucking barely sold the Philly Civic Center or wherever it was, somewhere in Philly. And, like, you know, the whole third section is empty. The 200s are scattered, but the 100s are all sold out. So there was that. That was cool.
Sounds like an AEW show.
I think they wish, they wish having that kind of turnout. And I love AEW, but
yes.
Also,
we
I want to be clear.
Yeah,
we say that with love.
But
I want to say, though, it was also kind of wild. Even watching on the WWE thing, I was kind of scanning through the show before getting to the match. There's a lot of Black Sabbath in NWA. First of all, Road Warriors come out to Iron Man, and in the like WWE overdubs Iron Man with like a sound alike of Iron Man.
Yeah.
And it still sounds really fucking cool. It still sounds like Road Warriors look so jacked, baby. They look so good. They took on the Skyscrapers, which is Sid and what's his name? The guy who played Waylon Mercer, Dan Spivey, Dangerous Danny Spivey. Okay. Terrible match, but like what a hoss fight. Like I wouldn't recommend it, but it was right. It was great. It was terrible, but it was great. And totally shitty finish. And this match was awesome. I loved watching how Terry Funk got heat right away. He almost got into a fight with one of the security guards in the entrance ramp. And then also when they lower the cage, first of all, there clearly was some serious technical issues because the cage lowering took like 10 to 12 minutes, I remember. But they were blasting War Pigs by Black Sabbath. And like even WWE didn't even overdub this because this was only in the arena, so it was very low. So unless you are a total music nerd like me, you would not have noticed this. But that was like, I can't imagine being there and hearing War Pigs as this cage. Like I would have freaked out.
They pull the Paul Heyman, they pull the ECW just to get the live sound, and you don't have to pay royalties.
Yes, exactly.
Or however that worked.
And it was so funny how they kept trying to put in modern references, like the cage is called the Thunderdome after Mad Max. The guys on the outside with the towel. So the only way to win the match is your designated Terminator. Is the guy had to throw in the towel, and that's how the match ends. So it's almost like a Hell in a Cell in the fact that the cage doesn't just cover the ring. There's a bit of the outside inside the cage, outside of the ring, inside of the cage. So the Terminators are in the cage, but they're outside of the ring.
Yes, but inside the cage.
Yes.
Outside of the ring, inside of the cage.
Yeah. Oh, did I say outside of the cage? Outside? No, inside the cage. No. Anyway, don't confuse me. Yeah. First of all, it was crazy hearing the announcers calling Sting a young lion. Now, especially right now as he's about to retire. Yeah. And Muta just retired. Love Muta's improv. There was a part of the spiderweb Halloween decorations that caught fire as the cage lowered. And after they put it out, Muta ran up and used his mist, and the announcers totally sold it. Like he put out the fire with his mist. I was marking out.
That was that. I made the same note. I was like, okay, so they lower the cage, something's immediately on fire, things are going haywire, and then he sprays the green mist.
You could tell everything was going wrong because they were vamping for so long. Like Terry Funk was like just taunting and everything. You know, it was something was off for sure. But what did you think of the match overall?
I mean, I just liked how Terry Funk's the wild man. He just kept getting caught in the cage and like hanging upside down and like shaking the cage and stuff. I didn't really, please enlighten me. Why were the teams the way they were? I don't understand why the tag teams were Muta and Sting versus Terry. What was it? Muta?
Well, no. It's Flair and Sting versus Muta and Funk. So this was right after Funk and Flair had their feud. This is like at the conclusion of the feud. So they've been feuding the whole time. And I guess Gary Hart was managing him and he just brought in Muta. And Muta's been feuding with Sting. And I don't quite remember. I wasn't watching WCW at the time because, you know, we grew up here. We didn't get it. We only got worldwide at like 1 a.m. But I think what it was is Sting was trying to get recruited into the Horsemen. And this was how he was like proving himself. And eventually they turn on him. And then RoboCop comes.
Yeah. Okay. That's all very exciting.
Yes. But no, I liked it. I thought it was a very, very fun match up until the ending. They completely, like, what a shitty fucking ending with they biffed it. They couldn't even pull it off.
Are we going straight to the towel throw? Because like, there's other things I kind of did not enjoy about this.
Oh, what else did you not enjoy about it?
Like let's talk about the rope swing was like so bad. It's like it wasn't placed properly. Like I think Sting went from like one corner to one corner. He should have went from a corner into the middle of the ring. And at one point he could have maybe done something like that, but he just Stinger splashed instead. It's like
I remember that moment. I think he wanted to do that, but he realized physics wise it wasn't gonna. This is clearly like there was no rehearsal. You know,
it definitely was not set up for like optimum swinging.
Yes,
I made a note. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like CZW much from like maybe 10, 15 years ago. They used to have an event called Aerial Assault where they would have the boxes on top of the ring post and they had the rope swing and they had some real good rope swings. Like that's a rope swing, like from one side to the other. But this one was left a little bit to be desired. So we can
Sting got, that just reminded me that Sting got tied up in a knot. By Funk. And man, Funk really knows how to tie knot because that was another panic moment with Ole and him like trying to fucking untie this knot and it was impossible to the point that Sting kind of lost his cool and started just shaking the cage trying to get his knot out.
Would you say that was a slip knot? Oh, hey.
Wow. So yeah, that was that.
Actually, I have an original clown mask, first generation clown mask from like wherever he got it in Germany. And that's my go-to Halloween costume. I'm not sure if I forgot to answer your question earlier.
No,
that's my Halloween costume forever and ever and ever. Spent $300 on it, so until it falls apart, I'm gonna be that every fucking year.
You gotta get your money's worth.
So if you see a clown dressed in the white and red Dynamo outfit around Brooklyn this year, that's me. Oh, that's me.
Yeah, so what else? That was basically my thoughts. The ending sucked, but up until the ending, I enjoyed myself. What about you?
Okay, so there was some vaguely racist comments that JR made over the microphone.
Yes. This is one of my favorite things.
I feel like it's like an episode of like Kill Tony. You watch Kill Tony? That's my new favorite thing. The Tony Hinchcliffe. It's a Tony Hinchcliffe live podcast.
Yes. I watched the Ric Flair one.
Shout out Zach Amico for burying Ric Flair as he was drunk and crying. I mean, so I think JR goes something like, Muta's going to the land of the rising sun. He might be a fried wonton.
Yeah, brutal. Brutal. I remember that.
First of all, I double checked. I did my research. Wontons are definitely Chinese and Muta is definitely of Japanese origin. So that's even bad appropriation. Sting's tied to the cage. Stinger splash was horrible. Oh, Muta tries to climb the cage at the very end and he's clearly not electrified. So this whole electrification thing.
They completely, yes, absolutely. They completely, also they were like, there's no way to climb over the cage. And as they say that, both Sting and Terry Funk's full bodies are through the cage. It's like, oh, they don't need to climb over it.
I did like how it was like the angle, like the prison thing. So that was cool. So that makes sense. I mean, obviously it's going to be harder. I feel like there was like a TNA match back in the day that had like the weird like circle.
Yeah.
They're trying to get in the middle, which is like, why would you ever like subject yourself to that? So, but yeah, the ending, the schmozzy, dusty ending with like what was it? So let me allow you to finish with the ending.
So everyone like Gary Hart and Ole are in the ring, and like the ref is somehow distracted, and Ole gives Gary Hart a big old punch, and Gary Hart
huge punch
sells it like a cartoon and throws the towel at the ref's back, who then turns around and sees that a towel has been thrown, and so he calls the match, which is just total bull. Like, why? I guess Funk and Muta didn't want to take any losses or whatever, or submit, or I don't know.
Is there any reason why Bruno Sammartino was our referee in the main event?
That's right, Bruno. We didn't even mention that the referee was Bruno Sammartino. Bruno Sammartino, he was all.
Why is he refereeing this match?
Also, just completely out of place the whole time. I remember there was a moment where like he was very close to the turnbuckle where Muta was, and Sting like went to splash Muta, and Sammartino took some of the splash, but Muta sold it like death, and Sammartino just no-sold it because he wasn't supposed to get hit. He just ran out of the way. I think he was there because he's a big, like, it doesn't even make sense because his big market was Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh, and this is in Philly. Maybe he had just had the falling out with Vince, and so that's why they did this. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
I think it's a very funny detail that we just glossed over. Like, and also Bruno Sammartino was just the referee for no reason. Yeah, but still, it was very sports entertaining. Also, Jim Ross drops a sports entertainment reference. He calls this great sports entertainment during during his call, which I was surprised by. It's foreshadowing,
Yeah. So now, what's one of your picks?
All right. So here's. I feel like I'm in a talk show. There we go. One's done. Okay, so we didn't do. We kind of avoided the Rey versus Eddie, but I went. Was that 97?
Yes. The match you picked was from 96.
So 96. So Dean Malenko versus Rey Mysterio starts off the pay-per-view. Super fucking strong. I feel like Dean Malenko jumps the freaking ring bell. He hits a big back body drop and goes right for the pin, kick out, goes for the Texas Cloverleaf right away, which, sidebar, is my favorite submission. Screw the figure four, screw the sharpshooter. The Texas Cloverleaf is it.
It feels like an upgraded sharpshooter.
Doesn't our friend Andy do that? Doesn't Andy do Texas Cloverleaf powerbomb or something like that?
Oh, that's right. I've seen him do that. Yeah.
Shout out to our friend Andy Williams. Okay, so the whole mask situation from like a week before or something like
that. Dean stole one of Rey's masks after Rey won the title.
Rey does like a fake out 619. I feel like he wasn't really doing 619 yet, but he kind of like did a 619 like unofficially.
Oh, well, that was the move initially. It was initially just a fake out where he would pretend to do a high spot. It was like and then he does the 619 rotation just to be like, I got you. It was only once he got to WWE that he made it a kick.
Then he realized that he could just kick you in the face.
Yeah, with that.
And then, and hopefully, and didn't he like kill somebody doing that in Mexico?
Oh, did he?
I think we should check our sources, but I think Rey might have injured somebody to the point of death in the lucha scene down in Mexico.
No way.
Okay, so Rey's second mask comes off, and it's like whoa!
I'm sorry, not to interrupt. I didn't realize that Paraguayo Jr. was facing Rey Mysterio when this happened. That he kicked him, and that's how Paraguayo died. I totally blocked it out that Rey Mysterio was in that match. All right, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so the mask comes off. And he's wearing and he's wearing a second mask, which is like the funniest fucking mask I've ever seen. It's like a thong mask. It's like you could see his little baby shaved head the entire time. It's like I equate it to it's the whale tail. It's a 90s whale tail of lucha masks.
Well, he would have two styles of masks, right? He would have the full back head covered, and then like the thong one where it was just like thin lines.
Yeah.
like a maskini of sorts.
Yeah, it's a very sexy mask. It's very
yeah, it shows a little more skin. Probably more breathable for the outdoor events.
We love the back of the head skin being shown. Yeah, there's like a lot of there's a lot of good high quality work. Malenko hits a sick back body drop, and Keenan goes, he's gonna throw him to Utah, which I thought was very funny. That was a great little side note. Was Karl Malone around at that point? Was that like a Karl Malone reference, or he just said Utah for no reason?
I think just because they were in Vegas and Utah's the next state over.
Oh, geography lessons. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Dusty goes crazy and it starts like talking when Malenko has him in like kind of like a rest hold. He's just like blabbering, and then like I have my subtitles on Peacock, and it just says like, well, first he goes Slim Jim's. He kept saying Slim Jim's Halloween Havoc, which is very funny, and then he keeps mumbling, and it just says indistinct. Like whatever AI is happening, they can't make out.
They can't translate Dusty.
So it just says indistinct. It's like blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean Malenko won. Oh, he had a few really good like gut wrench power bombs. The second row power bomb.
He had some killer power moves. Like he was. I feel awesome. Like Gringo Loco needs to watch more Dean Malenko matches because I really got like Dean Malenko is the base god, and he caught Rey perfectly on all of Rey's crazy things. It was so wild to watch. Like it's dated because it's 30 years ago, but still Rey feels so ahead of his time in this era.
Oh, totally.
And this was like a run. They had a run of like 4 or 5 pay-per-views where they opened every pay-per-view, and it always delivered. And it was interchangeable. The two of them, Hoovy, Psychosis, and like Billy Kidman, like they would all face each other, and it would always be the best match of the show. That's what got me like so into WCW at that time.
Yeah. I mean, I was a big WWF guy. I was Attitude Era new generation Attitude Era kind of kid, but like flipping over and watching the cruiserweight matches, like the mid card WCW Nitro matches, like that was the best part of the Monday Night Wars. Is my favorite. I love Kidman. The whole flock thing was cool, but yeah, Malenko Rey was awesome. Malenko gets the win. I mean, honestly, like there's nothing funny about the match other than
Rey gets the win.
No, Malenko won the title.
Did he? I thought it was Rey with the. Oh,
no,
right.
and new cruiserweight champion Dean Malenko. There we go.
I just watched this match before the
Wait. Did he not though? I know. I feel like
no. You're right. You're right. He did win. I just looked it up, but I just totally missed it.
See, I thought it would be like a schmoz or just a straight Rey win too, and then Malenko gets the win, and my Iceman heart is so happy. So. That's great.
Yeah, well, they keep the feud going, I guess, into the next pay-per-view, which is what happens. They keep trading the title back and forth, so that's always fun. I guess he's facing Psychosis in the next one. But all right, yeah, that was great. I'm going to stop talking. Let's move on.
It doesn't matter who's fighting in the opening match. Whatever two cruiserweights, it's going to be a solid open. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The next match I picked is Vader versus Cactus Jack. Spin the wheel, make the deal. It was a Texas death match. As a kid, I loved Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, even though it looks so stupid now as an adult, like seeing it. But just the idea that two wrestlers go into a match not knowing what the stipulations of the match are seemed like such a fun way to sell a match. And there were 2 Spin the Deal matches. The other one was, I believe, in '94, the following year, with Sting and Jake Roberts. That match sucked. It was a coal miner's glove match.
I'm completely unfamiliar, and I think I'm going to stay that way. So
yeah, coal miner's glove match, which was the gimmick was you climb a pole to grab a coal miner's glove, which is I guess like a steel glove, which you can knock the other guy out with. It was like, what the fuck is a coal miner's glove? I didn't even. It was so silly. But this was a Texas death match. Yeah,
good old Texas death match. I don't know how I feel about this whole rest period situation, but
I was going to say it was very weird rules because essentially this was a last man standing match with no DQ. But in a last man standing match, there's a pinfall and then you get a 10 or sometimes a 20 count to get up. Mm-hmm. Here, you get a pinfall, there's a 30-second rest period, and then you get a 10 count. So you get 40 seconds theoretically to get the fuck up after a finisher, which really kills the vibe, I think, late in the match.
This is some boy math, right? This is what I call boy math. It's like, why would you want to kick out and keep fighting when you can just lose a pinfall that doesn't mean jack shit anyway, and you get 40 seconds to rest?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that exactly. Like, it's in your interest to take the pin.
Yeah. I guess their pride, their testicular fortitude. They don't want to lose an imaginary pinfall. I would be like, cool, pin me every fucking time. Give me like a minute to sit down, check my email, and then I'll get back and fight you again.
By the way, I don't know if you watched the very beginning of this pay-per-view. It's a weird sketch of like these kids trick-or-treating, and they go to this haunted house, and Tony Schiavone answers the door, and then he turns into like a werewolf or something. It's so stupid, and it looks very nice, but it's completely pointless, and I love it so much. But no,
I totally just fast-forwarded through it and did my homework, and I was like,
probably for the best.
Yes.
But no, this match ruled. This was an early 90s hardcore match. This would have fit right in an ECW. And like, this is what I loved about Cactus Jack at the time. He was like no other wrestler in America. This was almost strong style. Like, there were some spots here that I couldn't believe I was watching. There's a stage and it's connected to the ring, and there's one point where Cactus Jack is outside of the ring, Vader is inside of the ring, and we're seeing like the suplex spot where Vader is trying to suplex Cactus Jack into the ring. And typically when I see this, because I'm such a wrestling nerd, I'm like, oh, they're going to do it outside of the ring suplex spot. But then I was like, no way Vader is taking a suplex on the stage from Cactus Jack. But that's exactly what happened. I was marking out like crazy. I was like, what?
They were both young. They were young and spry. They had plenty of energy.
And Cactus Jack is like, I'm not going to let Vader outspot me in a Texas death match. So like 5 minutes later, he's on Vader's back, like piggyback style, on the stage. And with all his might, Vader just jumps back and falls. And the thud was so loud. This is the type of heat that you cannot get inorganically. Like, you hear the whole crowd just go, oh.
Yeah. I feel like Foley has their track record of getting really bad. But that back bump in Hell in a Cell when he fell from Taker into the attacks. It's just like two big burly boys falling on the ground. Like, that sucks.
Ugh, they were, and Vader is stiff. Cactus Jack is stiff. I feel like Cactus Jack's cut above his eye might have been Hardway. It might have not even been a blade job.
You know, well, I just watched the Hot Ones with Mick Foley, and they talk about the Hardway eyebrow. So obviously that had to have played into it.
Yes. Yes, I saw that as well. You're right. Yeah. Maybe that's why I thought of it. But yeah, this match I cannot recommend enough. And much like the last match, absolutely terrible ending. Yeah. Like they telegraph it. They telegraph it so early, like 10 minutes before the ending. There's like a shot of Harley Race, who's Vader's manager, and you see him with a taser, and the announcers have to pretend like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, I don't know what that. Like, they've never seen a taser before in their life.
Like, what's that noise that sounds just like a taser? But we don't know if it's a taser or not. Could be another taser.
Other than that, I think Tony and Jesse Ventura have great chemistry.
Wait, isn't Tony Schiavone dressed like Jesse Ventura?
He's dressed as, because it's Halloween, and Jesse's just like a doctor. But they're great during this match. And then finally at the end, when I saw the taser, it kind of ruined the rest of the match, because I'm just like, all right, I know where this is going. Let's just get there. Yep. But still, they did like a table spot. They did a spot like into the fucking stage. They did so much more. And then finally, you see him pull out the taser, and Cactus Jack is totally out of position on the other side of the stage. And you see Harley Race be like, get the fuck over here. I need to tase you.
Click.
And so he slowly crawls over and does the worst fake tase job I've ever seen. And honestly, this is on the production. They should have not been that close to expose how fake it looked, because
they should have been around the other side.
Yes, they should have been.
They were in front of Harley as he's clicking it, making the noise.
And you see him turn off the click so that he punctures Cactus without the clicking, and then there's like a 2-second delay, and then he goes, "Ah!"
Yeah, you could see it from a mile away ever since they started going like. It's like he stung him with volts of electricity. So there you go. Maybe he didn't. I think it was fake. I think he just pretended to.
It's fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, that match I feel is worth watching. Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I don't think I've ever watched it in its entirety. I have a lot of funny notes. I wanted to go
sure, yeah.
Real fast. Vader comes to the ring. Who's the heavyweight champion? He's not wearing his belt, so I'm like, I don't know. Who's the champion? You don't have your fucking belt with you, so maybe you are.
Yeah,
maybe
why,
you are.
I don't get why he didn't have the belt either. Yeah,
maybe because they said the belt wasn't on the line, so I guess he's like, I'll just leave it in my dressing room. He takes his headgear off right away, like 20 seconds in, no headgear. Also, Vader's gear in general is so funny because he has like the little like underwear tights on top of his long tights that cover up Vader, and you just see ADE. It just says aid on his side. So
I never yeah. Sometimes he would wear it backwards too, like he would have it misaligned. It would be so weird. But still, listen, you do not want to fuck with that guy.
No, yeah, I don't think you ever want to tell him that his like underwear's out of line because that seems a little inappropriate. Did you take note of the chair shot and the chair they used? Like the rustiest, bluest chair of all time. Like that looks like something from like Resident Evil or something that they found in like a dilapidated haunted house or something. The chair shot on the outside towards the end when it was like feet out and he just goes like this and the legs are like digging into Cactus's back was like brutal. Because that's like puncture a lung situation. So that was crazy. Yeah, I think all of my notes are just, why would you kick out of a pinfall if you have 40 seconds to rest?
Yeah.
I made a note that the arena is extremely blue. It's a very, very blue arena. There's tarps everywhere. It's very, very, it's like gym matte blue. The countdowns. Cactus's gear is pretty silly too. He looks like a fucking like Anthropology Urban Outfitters rug on his shirt, and I think
this is the best shape I've ever seen him in too. Beyond that, he looked great.
He was billed at what, like 303, which I know Foley as always like 289 is usually what Cactus gets billed at. So he's billed heavier and he looks way slimmer.
He absolutely,
He's a hunk. He's a hunk. Vader's gear sucked.
Yeah, I want to say to your point that he's a hunk. It really made me realize like, oh, this is how he scored his wife. Like he was an attractive guy, you know. Like,
dude, he was a fucking. They were both smoke shows. Like, could you imagine before the internet and there was just like this fucking scary ass like Texas long-haired motorcycle hunk guy being like, "Oh, I'm wrestling this weekend," and you were like a hot chick at a fucking. I don't know where they met. Was it like a motorcycle rally or something? Wherever they met. But yeah, of course. Like he was like what, probably 28, 29, best shape of his life. He just got off, being on the wrestling team with Kevin James. They went to high school.
That's so crazy. And like he's friends with Dee Snider too. So just everyone in Long Island knows each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a cesspool. Match was great. The gear was funny. They had like a little mini buried alive moment where they throw him into like the grave, but it was really just like a shaft going downstairs with like stairs. It looked like the underneath of like a restaurant or something. They took like 10 seconds. Vader bladed and then walked back up the stairs and kept fighting.
Yeah. He bladed for sure. He's not getting punched the hard way.
Yeah. No, but you know what? Other than every single thing we called out, it was a great match.
No, it was very. I was very sports entertained.
Yes, yeah.
It was great.
100%. All right, I got one. Can I?
Absolutely.
Can I unleash my next one? So I kind of was like, oh, I don't want to do well, obviously you picked really good ones, and I don't want to go like Ray and Eddie, and I don't want to do like all the stupid RoboCop, Abdul the Butcher, like Cage stuff. So I saw in '95 Sabu was on Halloween Havoc. So let me watch the Sabu match. So it was Sabu versus JL, and I was so like went over my head. I had no idea who JL was, and it's Jerry Lynn. So I was
of course.
I don't know. Mr. JL was Jerry Lynn. Comes out with a Sheik. When I was looking it up, did you know that Sabu was born in Staten Island?
I did not know he was born in Staten Island. For some reason, I just thought he was just from Detroit, much like
he's from Bombay, Michigan. So like this was 95. He had already been in ECW in 93. So people knew Sabu. That's why I saw the signs and the stuff in the crowd and whatever. So he was definitely like, that like anti babyface. He had a lot of fucking people behind him. They're both wearing different shades of purple, which I kind of really didn't enjoy. Like Mr. JL is all purple and Sabu is like magenta, and it's like we need like a red versus blue or like a Ryu versus Ken or something. I can't have two different shades of purple.
I think that's on Sabu because JL just had one outfit. Sabu had plenty of different types of pants.
Yeah, he could have been like, no, lime green, maybe lime green, I mean, the match is literally like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Sabu is just crashing and burning everywhere. It's like typical Sabu. Hits a great side moonsault to the outside. Does like the flipping leg backflip moonsault into the ring. Gets the 3 count in literally 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And then out of nowhere, for no reason, the original Sheik just lights a fucking fire in JL's face. Like, did you have to do that? Like, the match was already over. Like, maybe if he wanted to help him win or something, but he just like added insult to injury. Like, he already lost in 3 minutes. He's wearing a gross purple outfit and he just gets a fireball in the face. It's awesome.
I loved it. I reviewed this on my other podcast, Canitro, I should say.
Okay.
Because we did a whole 95 watch along, and we like one of our favorite parts was just the literal cup of coffee Sabu had in WCW. This is like one of 3 televised matches he has before he quits, and he was apparently really pissed at them that his match time got cut, which is why he squeezed all this stuff in and did stuff that they didn't improve. And also they were mad that the Sheik did the fire thing. They didn't want to do that. So this was totally him doing a big FU to the company. And I think this was pretty much his last appearance. I think he goes back to ECW after this, which is so great. They didn't know what to do with him. They didn't but I love that even if they didn't know what to do with him, still Bobby Heenan is putting him over like $1 million because Bobby Heenan is a professional. And, so this is great. And also with JL, I mentioned this also on Canitro because we were like, why the hell is he JL? Like, that's the most unoriginal name. And I looked up an interview that he did, and he basically said that he himself took it upon himself to make this outfit based on like Power Rangers was cool at the time. He wanted to be the superhero kind of character for kids. And when it was time to debut, he had all of these names picked out, like, I don't know what they were, but like cool superhero type names.
Yeah, like Super Mega Man.
Yeah, some shit like that. Yeah. And he goes to Kevin Sullivan, who's the booker at the time, and he's like, look, kid, these are great, but we'd have to get these through standards and practices to make sure this isn't like none of these are copyrighted. So we don't have the time to do that. So how about I don't know, JL, you're JL, get out there.
It's like the most un-lucha name of all time. It's just 2 letters. I mean, there's a L in Lucha, so that's kind of he could be like Junior Lucha Man or something. Who knows?
I don't know.
Leave it to the imagination, and no one should ever realize it's Jerry Lynn.
But a fun 5 minutes on what is a very dark pay-per-view. That pay-per-view sucks.
Yeah, that was the light at the end of the tunnel for me because anything Sabu was a blessing. Love him. I smoked weed with Sabu one time. It was great.
Oh, who smoked who up?
We were at the. It was a few years ago. It was GCW's Lost in New York.
Yes.
And Sabu was dressed in like his like regular street clothes were like a beach shirt. So we kept calling him Beach Sabu the entire night. And we just smoked a blunt outside. It was great. And I don't even smoke weed. I can't handle weed, but I was like, I can't pass up the opportunity.
For Sabu?
To hit a J with Mr. Boo.
Mm-hmm. Was it the most? Was that blunt like the most homicidal, suicidal, genocidal blunt you've ever smoked?
It was my buddy Aaron's. Shout out Aaron Kaplan Comedy. He's one of our New Fear City regulars. He does commentary for us, so he gave us the blunt. We were smoking weed. It was great.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. What's your next match, big man?
So my final pick is something from this era, and in my opinion, the best Goldberg match of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It is Goldberg versus Diamond Dallas Page from Halloween Havoc 1998. The infamous Halloween Havoc 98, which went an hour over the allotted time, the usual allotted time that they have. So some pay-per-view providers cut off the feed. And a lot of people did not see this match until the next night on Nitro. They basically, as a make good, showed the match for free on Nitro. This and the main event.
Okay.
And
hey, good on them. You know, that's nice.
I think they lost a lot of money because people demanded refunds after, because they're like, oh, why?
Oh, well.
Very WCW, but this match was so good. It was so well laid out. And this was, at the time, Goldberg was only doing squash matches. He was doing 20-second, 1 minute matches, bing, bang, boom, get in, get out, jackhammer, spear, jackhammer, let's go. This was, I'm not sure if this was the longest match, but it felt like the most dynamic match Goldberg had done up until this point. I don't ever recall him really selling this much. And also, DDP at the time was maybe the second most over person in the company behind Goldberg. Like he was
the people's champion.
He was the people's champion. He absolutely was he was the man of the people. And it's so crazy because he was so squandered in WWE. And I feel like people forgot like how over he was in WWE. He was the first guy to get any heat on the NWO, given Scott Hall the Diamond Cutter. So he was super, super over. And it felt very believable, even though Goldberg was undefeated in this match, coming into this match. It felt very believable that DDP could win the match. And I just have this vivid memory still from a kid of Goldberg setting up a jackhammer, DDP getting out of it and like fighting, getting behind Goldberg, turning him around, diamond cutter. As a kid, I was like, it's over. It's over. This is it. This is it. Yep. This is like, this was the most believable false finish I had ever experienced. And I like to think of myself as, a smark. I'm not going to fall for the basic false. I know it's easy to tell most false finishes. When a false finish gets me, I'd like to think that is created. Like my cynical ass has been gotten to, and they got me at that moment.
It was an amazing moment. I think this was probably the best match you could have got out of a Goldberg.
I literally can't name it. Maybe the ones with Brock that were like 5 minutes, but
because didn't he fight like Steven Regal like in this time frame, and like Regal punished him? He just punished him.
I actually looked it up. This match was only 10 minutes. It felt like it was 20 minutes. That's so funny.
Because I was trying to watch everything last night before I went to bed, and I was like, "Oh, thank God, it's only 10 minutes. I can totally watch this." It was great. Yeah, dude, the reverse of the jackhammer into the diamond cutter was sick. Goldberg, I mean, you have to give him credit for those OG spears. Like, that was the best spear of all time. Like, sorry, Edge. Like, I can't get behind Edge's like shitty spears. Anybody else who does a spear, like, it's Goldberg. 98 Goldberg spear for life, brother.
Goldberg was over with me at the time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was just solid. I mean, with the finish, like Goldberg just muscled up DDP into the jackhammer, like just like pure strength. And I was like,
was so cool.
You got me.
That's what I love about Goldberg at the time. Like when he would jackhammer guys like Ron Reese and whatever, those giants, the giant. It would be great. No, so this was great.
When he would jackhammer those giants, such as the Giant. It was amazing. It was good. I think he was like 155-0 or something like that at this point.
Yeah, I believe that was the talent.
Can we just talk? Did you go back and watch these on Peacock? Or how? I can't. The overlaid like new generic music didn't even give me like, because Diamond Dallas Page used to come out to like a really good like YouTube royalty free versions like of like Smells Like Teen Spirit, which was great because he's still kind of the vibe of it. And this one was like not that good. I know that you mentioned like some other song earlier was cool. This was not a good.
Oh yeah, the Road Warriors I mentioned earlier.
This was not a good royalty free version.
Yeah, the sound alike on Peacock is terrible, and they can't use the previous sound alike because that well, who was it that we had Tom from WCW Deep Cuts on Nitro, and he mentioned that. Do you remember there was a moment where DDP was on MTV and Raven like hit him from behind?
Oh, with the stop sign?
Him? Yes, with the stop sign.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
So the other guests on the show were Foo Fighters, including Dave Grohl, and Dave Grohl heard DDP's entrance music and was like, "Wait a minute, that's my song. Like that's Nirvana. Like
wow.
What the fuck?" And so he told his lawyers to send WWE a cease and desist. And they did, but he was like, "We don't have this guy. This isn't our guy. You know, like we have nothing to see." So I think just based on that, they're like, "We're not gonna."
He's like, "Send the wrestling. Send wrestling a cease and desist."
Yeah,
just whoever.
This was allegedly the story, so who knows? Huh.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like it wasn't the song. It just sounded kind of like it.
It sounded a lot like it.
Also, DDP is built out of the Jersey Shore, which I didn't realize either.
Yeah, he's from Asbury Park, I believe.
I love me a little Seaside Heights moment. You know what I mean? Go down to Seaside for the summertime.
Actually, that was the main event, and the final pick here from you is the match that preceded this, which might be the worst match in Halloween Havoc history.
I mean, was this some low-hanging fruit? Maybe. Our good friend Dave Meltzer gave this a negative 5 stars. Which is probably the best rating of all time. I mean, Warrior comes out. It's just Shivani keeps trying to sell it as like the best match of the decade. And like, listen, yes, they fought at WrestleMania 7 in 90, 8 years ago, blah, 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 blah. It's just crap. It's all crap.
Yeah, I remember at the time, like, I don't want this. Yeah. Like, that was my thing. And I loved both of them as a kid.
The only cool thing was Warrior's gear. Like, his airbrush trench coat was fucking awesome. It was like that, like, was it like Batman versus Robin, like the glow in the dark scene with like the hoodlums in the alleyway, which is probably just a Busta Rhymes video because they're all like in that neon paint kind of shit.
Yeah. It was the Joel Schumacher style.
Yeah, that was awesome. They trade body slams. They power up for no reason. I wrote down, these are 2 old men who pretend to get superpowers from God knows where. Probably from how much money they have in their bank accounts. And then the schmoz happens. Giant comes down, Horace Hogan comes down, turns on Warrior, blah blah blah.
It's so stupid. It's the fire, the move over Sheik.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is the second fireball of the Halloween.
You picked all the fireball matches.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It's just, no one cares. I mean, Hogan looked amazing because he had like the glasses and like the white boa, which is like top tier, like NWO Hogan, like gear and like Halloween costume shit. So it makes sense. But like, worst match, they're just like, they do the crisscross along the ring ropes as like the exercise. My God. For like no reason.
That was a callback to WrestleMania. That's why they did that in the WrestleMania match.
It was fucking stupid.
I hated when they did this also with Piper. Like they're basing this feud on a feud in a different promotion. Like it really didn't sit well with me. Like, you know, like this is lame. I didn't like this. And honestly, this isn't the worst match because I think the cage match with Piper the previous year, Hogan and Piper, was worse. Age in the cage. Because that match also was the beginning of the end for Macho Man. He did that double axe handle from the top of the cage and he crushed his knee and was never the same again after.
I had that in my head and I didn't know which match that was and I wanted to. Do you see the
yeah, it's this weird new fucking Mac thing with the reactions. Hold on.
I think they're saying that our podcast is going surprisingly well. It's
really
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I actually wanted to figure out what match the Macho Man blowing his knees up came from, but we went for this one instead. Yeah, Horace Hogan. Oh, Heenan keeps screaming blood is thicker than water at the end. Blood is thicker than water, which is pretty funny. It just reminds me of there was an Attitude Era Ken Shamrock moment where he's like fighting with his like sister Ryan Shamrock. Do you remember that? And he's blood's thicker than water, slap me. He like totally too loud. He's like, slap me. just to like cue her slapping him. Yeah. Blood stick in the water. Blood stick in the water. Slap me. Yeah. So yeah, that Ken Shamrock reference is definitely the best part of this Hogan match.
Yeah, those are a good 1-2 punch if you want to see a really terrible match followed by a surprisingly good match. Definitely check out Halloween Havoc 98. In general, you can't go wrong with any Halloween Havoc. Even a bad Halloween Havoc is a good Halloween Havoc. So
that's great.
Plenty to catch up on. And Steve, thanks so much for hanging out with me here and reminiscing, getting nostalgic about a younger time in our lives where we had less to worry about.
Less to worry about and more Slim Jims to eat. Because I feel like the Slim Jims were aplenty back in the day.
Do you have any plugs you'd like to give us before we get out of here?
Just, hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Had a good talk. Had a great time. Follow Wrestling Sucks on Instagram. It's funny memes and such. And then New Fear City, I referee the matches. We have another show coming up, I think on Friday, December 1st. So yeah, if you're in the New York City, Brooklyn area, if you want to see some late night fun times, music, go-go dancers, beers, booze, blood, deathmatch, come visit us at New Fear City. And hopefully we'll see you soon. And Rob, hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yeah, hopefully I could stay up late enough to come to the next one.
Yeah. We'll do an early bird special for you.
Maybe exactly like a Sunday matinee for me.
We'll just rent out the CBG, the John Varvatos that's at CBG's now.
They still have the stage there. You can do it on the stage.
We'll just do like a death match at 2:00 in the afternoon on Sunday.
Love it. Just outside the John Varvatos.
Of course.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah,
well, thanks for entering the pit.
My pleasure, man. I'll talk to you soon.